Hello, and thank you for joining us for the sixth episode in the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Celebration Series, an 8-part live webinar event that will share the experiences and recommendations of female leaders in fire and emergency management. The EDI Celebration Series is a program of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs in collaboration with Firefighting in Canada through a generous grant from the Motorola Solutions Foundation. My name is Laura Aiken, editor of Firefighting in Canada. And today we are joined by Monique Belair, Director of Emergency Services and Fire Chief for the municipality of Belleville, Ontario. Monique will be sharing her career experiences and recommendations for increasing equity, diversity, and inclusion in the fire service. If you have questions during the webinar, you can type them into the chat box on your screen at any time, and we will address them during question period after the interview. With that, I'd like to start by asking you, Monique, why did you pursue this career path?
So actually, it's kind of a funny story. I kind of actually just fell into the fire service. I graduated high school at a really young age. I was only 16. So I thought I wanted to be a police officer, and I went to Niagara College in Ontario here for law and security, which is police foundations now. So I completed that at 18, but when I graduated, I didn't actually really think it through. And it was like, okay, well, you're 18, you can't actually be a police officer in the province of Ontario at that age. You could be a cadet, but not a police officer. So I thought, I'm going to join the Canadian Armed Forces as a military police officer. And I'll do my 3 years and I'll get out, and then I'll get on a municipal fire service. So I went down to the recruiting center and I did all the testing. And I'm out in the waiting room after you complete it. And I got called in by one of the recruiting officers and said, so how tall are you? And I said, well, I'm 5'9". And they said, are you sure? I said, well, pretty sure I'm 5'9". So they actually measured me. And then they sent me back to the waiting room. And then they called me back in a second time to a different recruiting officer and said to me, so I just want to confirm you're 5'9". I said, yep. Do you mind if we just quickly remeasure you? I said, okay. So they measured me and they sent me back out into the waiting room. They called me in a third time and said, we'd like you to watch this little video. And it was about a 30-second video on firefighting. So I watched it. I never knew anything about firefighting before. And they said, so we're going to measure you one last time and document it. I said, okay. So yeah, they confirmed at 5'9". They said, so we don't actually have a spot for you with military police, but we're really trying to recruit a female firefighter, and you meet the height requirement. So I actually got into the fire service because I'm 5'9", and back in 1985, there was a height requirement to be a firefighter, and you had to be 5'8". So that's how I started my career, because I just happened to be 5'9".
Oh my goodness, so that's an interesting start. It's a different start for sure. So you started, they wanted to hire a female firefighter. You met the height requirement. So how would you characterize your experience after that as a woman in the fire service?
So obviously, I've had some challenges. When I started back in, so I went to Cornwallis for my basic training, which all people in the military do. And then I went to the fire academy. And I think at the fire academy on my very first day, I realized just how challenging of a career I had taken. I remember two of the other recruits coming up to me that day, and they said to me, we are not going through this course with any effing female. And that pretty much set the tone for what I was going to expect for the next 4 months. It was a very challenging time for me, but it opened my eyes up. And I can tell you, from that moment on, I knew that I was going to make change in the fire service, that nobody was ever going to say those words to another female, that they didn't belong here because of our gender. That being said, yeah, it's been challenging. I got to tell you, it's been really rewarding too. Like 35 years ago, when I joined the armed forces, I took an oath of allegiance to serve my country. Fast forward 35 years ago, this June 27th, I took my second oath that I've ever taken to pledge allegiance to the fire service and this committee in Belleville. And in 30 seconds, it wrapped up 35 years in the fire service for me. And my friends, my peers, my colleagues, my mentors, my family were all there to witness it. I can't even tell you the emotional moment that was for those 30 seconds.
Oh my goodness, I can imagine. So with the hurdles that you had and the challenges and you know, the way you were spoke to, what sort of characteristics or how did you overcome them? What do you think helped you do that?
So first of all, I guess we should, so some of the hurdles are, you know, when I started in 85, I can't even tell you how many people said to me, well, this is a man's job. What do you want to do, a man's job? You're not strong enough to do a man's job. Do you know, and I mean, no offense, but I can remember, I can't even tell you the countless times people must have said to me, you must be gay because why else would you want to do a man's job? Literally, I can't even tell you how many times I heard that said to me. And that wasn't just males that would say that. Females didn't believe women back in 1985 should actually be riding fire trucks or fighting fires, that it really was a man's job. And in fact, in one occasion, I remember teaching fire extinguisher training, myself and another gentleman. And it was about 30 people in the room that we were teaching to. And I could tell there was one guy and he was sitting there like this. And he was like really, really angry every time I spoke. So I actually stopped and I said, I'm sorry, sir. Like, have I offended you? Did I say something that, you know, you didn't like? Please tell me. And you know what he said? He says, I just don't think women should be firefighters. And I said, oh, why? And I'll never forget his answer. He said, because women are the child bearers of society, and how dare I put myself at risk? So, like, what do you even say to somebody like that? Like, how do you respond to that? That was such an eye-opening experience. And like I said, to this day, I still remember it because I was at a loss for words, that was what I was facing. I guess I've always felt that no matter what training or whatever course I've ever been on, that my gender was always identified at the beginning. So I always felt like I had to work harder. I had to be at the top of the class. I had to prove to them that yes, just because I was a woman didn't mean that I didn't deserve this role, whether it's fire chief, whether it was firefighter, fire investigator, whatever it was. Like, it was really difficult. I can tell you on one occasion when I was in a senior position and it was time for me to get my increase, I went in to see the fire chief to say, like, it's time for me to get it and this and that. And the individual said to me, well, I'm going to deny it. And I said, what do you mean? I'm entitled to it. And they said, well, you can't expect me to pay you as much as I pay your counterpart, which was a male in the same role. So, you know, we have issues. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but I'm saying there's still issues. For me, how do I overcome those hurdles on a daily basis? I surround myself with positive mentors. Nobody, if you're thinking of progressing into a leadership role, or, you know, you want to better yourself, you got to surround yourself with really good role models, positive mentors, and you have to have a steadfast conviction in yourself, in your goals, and how you're going to get there. I have great mentors, phenomenal mentors. So I try and pay back any opportunity I get. I totally 100% believe in the mentoring experience. So I have several, and it's not just females, I have some males that I also mentor about how to pursue a career in fire services.
Okay, so then how would you characterize your experience as a leader in the fire service?
It's been challenging. It's been extremely worthwhile. It's been very impactful, both on my professional and personal life. And it's been very humbling for me. I've been recently nominated for an award here in Ontario, Premier's Award. And what's so humbling to me about it is it's because it's mostly founded on an initiative that is very important to me, and it's about promoting females in the fire service. And it's a Camp Molly, it's a fire service leadership for young females here that I founded when I was with Halton Region Oakville Fire Services. And the nomination is for community service, which for me is the crux of everything I do. I totally believe that if you're talking about a career in any emergency response, you need to be committed to your community. I volunteer in my community. I just wholeheartedly believe that that's what the fire service is about, serving your community, not just when you're in the fire station, but at all times.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you.
I'm sure it's much deserved. So what are your top 3 recommendations then to fire departments seeking to create a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive workforce?
First, I think you need to understand that to become a diverse fire service, you got to be an inclusive fire service. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to go out and hire a whole bunch of women, or I'm going to go out and hire different ethnicities, without actually seeing whether your department can handle that. So I guess what I mean about that is you need to look at what your current environment is. What does that going to look like if we try and make it inclusive and invite diversity into it? And what are our challenges in creating that? So I'll give you an example. The idea of inclusivity in 1985, when I got to my first station, was putting a curtain around my bed and putting a sign on the bathroom, because there was only one bathroom. And the sign actually was a wooden sign that said Adams, which was plural, / Eve. I was Eve, and all the guys in the fire hall were Adams. And they put a little latch on the door, and that was being inclusive for their first female firefighter. So obviously, we need to look at what our stations have. What's the mentality of the people? And I think the training piece is key on making people understand, training / education. What is diversity? What is inclusivity? And what do we mean by equality? I hear it all the time when we go for a recruitment. People say to me, I don't care who you hire. I just want to make sure they can do the job. That's great. In reality, one of my hirings, I had a couple of females and 5 or 6 males on it. After they finished their recruit class, they went out to their station. Firefighter came out to me afterwards. He said, Chief, I just want to know, those 2 females you hire, they're fantastic. They do a great job. Okay, so that actually was really offensive to me. I hired 9 people in that recruit class, but you had to identify the 2 females to me, as if he was surprised that 2 females were actually good firefighters. He didn't say to me, you know, all 9 of those firefighters, or hey, those 7 males were really good. Just more surprised that I will let you know you did a good job because you hired me 2 good females. So there's the education piece that I speak about. And thirdly, I think for an inclusive, we got to understand why people aren't applying. Is it, so I can tell you, sometimes it's cultural. I learned that in some nationalities, fire services is like being a laborer in their country, and it's not respected. They're supposed to be engineers, doctors, teachers, isn't respected. So we need that education piece. We need to, through initiatives like Camp Molly, we need to target a certain audience. So I can give you an example of what really opened my eyes about why I started Camp Molly. I mentor, and I had 2 girls for career day, and they were coming to spend the day with me at the training campus. So the one girl showed up late, and she was all in a panic because she was late. And I said to her, it's okay. Like, what happened? She goes, oh, my dad didn't want me to come today. And I said to her, oh, is it because we're at the training campus and he thought it wouldn't be safe because you'd be around the trucks or, you know, stuff like that? She goes, no, we only get 1 career day. And he said, don't waste it at the fire department because women can't be firefighters. And that was 3 years ago. And I was like shocked. And she goes, I said, really? And she goes, yeah, I had to convince my dad that Oakville actually had a female deputy. He didn't believe me. And he actually looked me up on LinkedIn and was shocked that I'd been in the fire service for over 30 years. So obviously we're missing something. And I often get asked sometimes, how come I'm almost like being segregated because Camp Molly is only for young females between the ages of 15 to 18. And my response always is, I've had young girls tell me that they've gone to their guidance teachers or stuff like that and asked about a career in the fire service. And they said, no, you're not strong enough. It's a man's job, whatever, right? So that's why I started this camp. And I always reply to people, when a 16-year-old boy walks into the guidance area and says, I want to be a firefighter, and the guidance counselor says to that young boy, oh no, you can't be a firefighter, that's a woman's job, then I'll hold a camp. They have never been told, let's face it. So the education piece, when it comes, I hope, honestly, 100% I hope I never have to see another Camp Molly or Camp Firefight or Camp Ignite again out there, because we don't need them.
Absolutely. Well said, Monique. So then when it comes to leadership, on top of being a woman in the fire service, what are your top 3 recommendations for those seeking leadership positions in fire?
So you got to have a vision, create a vision for yourself. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Then you got to develop a strategy. Like, how are you going to get there? What do you need? And don't be afraid to change that strategy during that time. Reach out, educate yourself, get yourself a mentor, and hold yourself accountable. Every position in the fire service I've had, I've made a mistake in, but I own my mistakes. You got to be able to do that. You got to look at yourself objectively and see where you went wrong, where you can improve. Honestly, I hold myself accountable every day. And you got to be open-minded. Fire services has really changed. Just because I have 5 bars on my shoulder doesn't mean I know everything. Doesn't mean I make decisions without consultation. Doesn't mean I demand respect because I walk in and I say I'm the fire chief. I honestly believe fire chief is earned. I believe in collaboration and communication. If you don't know how to communicate or you don't know how to collaborate, you better learn how to, because otherwise, I honestly believe you cannot be an effective leader in the fire service. I make decisions every day, but honestly, I never make them alone.
Absolutely. It's a team, isn't it? All right. Well, thank you for sharing those recommendations with us and talking about your experience as a woman in the fire service. It's really been a pleasure speaking with you. We can take some questions now, which I have another one to start with. What career trait do you think has helped you most in your career?
I would say my determination. Determination never to give up on myself, but more importantly, determination to make change. Like I said, that day, on my first day in recruit class, I knew that change had to happen. I'm a big purporter of it. I'm open to change, but I also believe in making that change.
Okay. And is there anything that you would have told your younger self when you were first starting out, knowing what you know now?
Don't be so hard on myself. I hold people to a high standard, but sometimes I think I hold myself to too high of a standard. And then if I don't make it there, I'm very hard on myself. So I would definitely say, yeah, loosen up a little bit. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah, we all make them, that's for sure. All right. And is there anything else? He's a little shy with questions today. That that I haven't asked about that you'd like to add?
No, I think I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. The fire service has been an amazing career. It's obviously, like any career, has had its ups and downs, but it has definitely been rewarding for me.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time today.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank our attendees. So this webinar is being recorded and will be emailed to everyone registered within 24 hours. And we hope you enjoyed this session. To all our attendees and everybody, have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Monique.
Bye-bye.